Hi everyone, Nearest here. There's a new PoE build guide. I did originally plan to make quite a few of them early on in previous leagues, but in the end it turned out to be way too lazy to even do that, and this time around I actually do like the build a lot. It is slightly not finished because of a single item. However, because this item is not perfect specifically, a different mod popped in to the item, which caused the build to be even more tanky than I originally planned. The damage, however, because of this, dropped quite a bit. It is not like completely god tier, but it is defensively extremely tanky, and the damage is actually very good as well. Farming T17s or Uber bosses with ease. The build is not a burst one. It requires quite a bit of build up, mainly because of the Warden ascendancy. As we are playing lightning only with Doryani prototype, we do need to stack the shock effect, which we have 50 stacks of, so we do need to hit the enemy about 50 times to get the proper shock effect, which is pretty easily achievable with a very fast hidden weapon. In our case, instead of using a claw, we actually use a dagger, specifically the Imperial Skin, mainly because I just got lucky and found one with 30% attack speed fracture on it for pretty cheap, but then I just overcrafted it. And the main point why the dagger is actually being used instead of the claw is mainly because of the enchantments from the King's March, and specifically the one that gives you 45 on melee hit. Since a way to get a 45 on this build on the tree would require quite a lot of points, and at the same time would have to sacrifice quite a bit of defenses or damage to even get to it, since it is not that close on the tree, which, yeah, once again, in the end, that would cost you probably 8-10 points. At this point, I don't even remember. I'm just making this guide to somehow finalize the build and document it in a way before I sell it off, pretty much, as I do have 3 more builds planned that I want to do and try before the immediate end of my league, since it's been, what, 3 weeks now since the start of the league, and I am slightly getting bored. I mean, there's quite a lot of extra things I want to do outside of playing PoE. Normally 3 weeks is pretty much my limit. However, because the league is so fun, we'll most likely be playing for another week, maybe even 2, with the new builds that I am planning on making. And since I already am making this video and making the guide, explaining everything, how the build works and all of that, we'll most likely keep on playing the other ones, see how they go, and then once I play 2 or 3 of them for several days each, I will most likely leave the league, and this will be my longest stay in a league in the past few years, which is kind of something, since yeah, it's between 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes I stay a few days extra, but not too often. And yeah, once again, this build is actually very nice. It feels very good. Sometimes there are some difficulties, mainly because of the mana, which I had fixed before making this video, mainly because I am using Svallen Shield, and Svallen is using my mana whenever it casts spells on the block, and this sometimes was causing me to be out of mana and just stop attacking the mobs for like half a second or so, which is very annoying. And just by putting life tap in there, it's been fixed completely, so it's not an issue anymore. And other than that, there's not that many things to fix. And I am just looking at the recording time of this specific commentary, and it should be pretty close to the end of the map that you can see right now on the screen. So I will just jump in and show you what exactly the build looks like when it comes to the items and when it comes to the tree and the whole setup. Now, when it comes to the item setup and everything, we are playing Doryani's prototype, which is pretty much the highest damage source at the moment that you can do when it comes to attack skills. There's a few other ones that are not that great per se, because you need a bit more investment, which in this case is extremely easy to cover, especially because of the changes that have taken place with the Watcher's Eye changes and obviously the King's March. So as you see, the main thing that you can do is obviously Doryani prototype with the plus bonus to projectile secret gems, which increases DPS of the Lightning Strike quite a bit. Specifically, it is great because, yeah, I mean, with quite a few items, you can get Lightning Strike level 25, you get 2 from here, 1 from the Corruption, 1 from the Ashes of the Stars, and another one from Awakened added a lightning damage support. The build itself was quite old when it comes to the concept itself, and normally you would be using Doryani's prototype along with Mahuk's Subtle Shield, which I did at the start, along with the Temper by Warden keystone from the Lethal Pride, to give you the negation way to get rid of the lightning damage taken, especially because lightning damage, even with high armor, would pretty much destroy you if you walked into any sort of lightning damage over time source, I suppose. Specifically, like Shaper Beams completely decimated you within like 0.3, 0.2 seconds. This way it's not as bad, except obviously it's still doing a lot of damage, and whenever there is a way to fight, let's say, Feared or something like this, you still have to kill the Shaper first, because if you stay in the beam for like 1 second, you pretty much die unless you have Vile Lightning Strike running and you have a lot of Leech going on at the same time. Then you can probably survive up to like 2-3 seconds if you stay right in the middle of it. However, it is still the best idea to pretty much completely avoid it, since damage over time is not a great thing for this build. It is extremely tanky against all kinds of hits, especially if there is like a bunch of small hits because of this Fallen Shield, in which case like you're not having any sort of trouble. By continuing, we are using Svalin, as I mentioned. It is max roll. I mean, the max roll is pretty much the only thing you can get, so you can not invest too much when it comes to spell block to max it up. With my build, you are getting 90% spell block, 90% block chance, which is amazing, to be honest with you. Getting only 10% of the hits is a very big deal, not to even mention the Vile Lightning Strike itself is using Nightblade support, which gives you a chance to avoid hits as well. Not to even mention, you are using the Pantheon. I didn't change this one when I was doing Override Theory. You are using the Pantheon to avoid extra projectiles and some other stuff like the projectiles that have chained, which is not that important, but it once again gives you a little bit of extra chance to avoid projectiles, and you have quite a bit of extra chance to evade, which helps out with, once again, avoiding as many hits as possible. Other than that, you obviously have extra physical damage reduction per enemy, which is very good, along with another one, which is yet again physical damage increase per hit you have taken recently, which helps out when it comes to taking damage if the hit is not been blocked. Additionally, we have completely capped spell suppression, which is, once again 100% and 53% damage taken, which helps us out when it comes to taking fairly big hits. And not to even mention, we have 89% cold resistance, which is applied to lightning and fire resistance as well, because of the combination of the Watcher's Eye, which is 20% fire and lightning damage taken as cold with Purity of Ice, the Sublime Vision, 30% fire and lightning taken as cold while affected by Purity of Ice, and Divine Flesh, 50% of elemental damage taken as Chaos. So in the end, we are very tanky because of this. We do not have to invest in too many different resistances. There's only cold that we worry about. We get extra cold resistance and max cold resistance from the Sapphire Flask, which is connected to the Mage Blood and has increased effect on it. So this pretty much increases max cold res by 9%. If you are able to get in some way a flask effect increase of about 5%, you can get another 1%. However, a thing that you can also do is just give yourself Jewel that has +1, +2 to maximum cold rest to cap it up. In my case, I want to get Corrupted Blood, as well as chance to block spell damage and some extra intelligence, and everything else on it was just some random stuff that would help me out with DPS. So this Jewel was pretty cheap. I believe I bought it for about 2 or 3 divines, and helped me out once again with Corrupted Blood, capping my attributes and capping my spell block, so it would be 90%. Built in the long run, by the way, is completely immune to bleed, to Corrupted Blood, as well as all the elemental ailments, because of the where is it? Ancestral Vision. There you go. With this build, yes, is extremely tanky. You don't really give a damn about a lot of things. There's only a few things that can kill you reliably, but because you do know which ones they are, it's pretty easy to avoid them, especially things like on T-17's the Unstable Cores, or the big spider monstrosities on Abominations, which cause the bodies to explode, which is not fun, because the build, if it doesn't block it, they just die, since it's percentage damage, and that is not fun, and it's very easy to die because of it. Going on, The weapon that we use, once again, is the Imperial Skin. We use a dagger because of the melee hit Fortify enchantment, which is a big lifesaver. This alone gives us a whole lot of extra HP, and because of high attack speed and very high damage, since this is a low and high hitting build because it's lightning damage, especially because we use volatility, it's very easy to get the max 45 without like even thinking about it, so it's very reliable. Then you just craft it with lightning damage and crit chance, after which you just do additional 3 crafted modifiers, and hits can be evaded with a damage mod, which in this case is lightning damage increase, which is, well, yeah, the best mod there is. The speed is still not amazing because, well, it's a dagger. The attack speed on those is 1.5, which I think is quite ridiculous, to be honest. The daggers and claws, when it comes to technicalities, should be the speed of your arm. Meanwhile, we have swords that have 1.6 attack speed, which makes no sense. And I don't know, maybe they wanted to balance it, but I mean, the daggers have been pretty shit for a very long time, and not many people use it, and claws have been the king of melee when it comes to elemental damage, at least for a very, very long time. So it still baffles me that daggers have such low attack speed, which is obviously the reason why a lot of people don't use them outside of basically rune daggers for spellcasters. Continue on. The base gear for our helmet, boots and gloves is pretty simple. It's mainly the reduce mana cost of skills. In this case we have a lot of attributes to get everything usable, since we are not really free when it comes to getting attributes, especially like in this area we are missing quite a few attributes here. We do a bit of travel on to get a bit of strength, and obviously there is the Rage Intimidate, and yeah, once again there is this Fortify here, so that would basically make me drop 5 points to get, what is it, 23 Fortify. 5 points is a very huge deal, and this for a claw instead of a dagger would be not great, especially because you'd have to drop something that gives you quite a bit of damage. There is not many points that you can drop. Maybe like you could drop this bit here. This bit helps with resistances, but it would be an option to drop. You cannot drop this one because you need extra block chance, so this is 4%. So with the lucky block it's about 5.5, and yeah, it helps that when it comes to capping it up. In this area we also use Light of Meaning, so once again if we get rid of this point here, that's another minus 4% chaos res. Those points are needed, pretty much everything here is very mandatory, so putting those 5 points in would be very, very difficult. The main thing though would be saving a single point because of this here, so there's no extra travel, but then you missing 10 intelligence, which is not great either. And even if you did get 1 point back because of this one, you'd 100% get the skill supported by Nightblade have 40% increase effective velocity, because it's just a no-brainer, it's just way too good. So you have a lot of resistance, a lot of attributes. We have the Chaos Res to cap it up. Everything else is just as much HP and armor and evasion, just for the extra defense layers. We also have the 6% physical damage from hits taken as cold for kind of fake physical damage reduction. It is great for physical hits, and it's just a good thing to have. I didn't really roll for them. They are both lesser modifiers. The mana cost reservation is not a big of a deal. I don't even know why I didn't blast it, but I mean it's 1%. If you are really keen on min-maxing, you would basically get this 6% to about 8 at least. When it comes to the gloves, it's, yeah, once again, tankiness and damage, so yeah, as much life, chaos res. My attack speed is pretty low, which I'm sad about, but because I got T2 life with a decent lightning damage flat, I was fine with it and I kept it as it is, although I would like to have at least 15-16% attack speed. The fact that it's only 11 dropped our DPS quite a bit, but not that much, and honestly recrafting the gloves is, yeah, I mean it would be like extra 10-15 divines to get 1.5, maybe 1% more damage, which is not that great once again. And trading like 4% attack speed for this flat is also not that big of a difference, so in the end I kept it as is. For the boots, we basically had a lot of free space when it comes to the implicits, so I just went with the damage stuff since we already are very tanky. We do have the spell suppression, as much armor evasion once again, as much life, strength which was needed, and chance to avoid elemental ailments. The avoid elemental ailments is obviously very important when it comes to the Ancestral Vision Cup, so that we are completely immune to elemental ailments, and that is very nice because these boots themselves give you 32%, and this 4 points here give you 20% for a total of 52, so Ancestral Vision makes this 104, so it capped, and because Ancestral Vision is working off of your chance to avoid oh wait, sorry, I was thinking about different jewel. This is the spell suppression version. So yeah, this one gives you 50% and you already had 52%, so it's easy. I was thinking about the one that is based on the chance to avoid shock, which would also be fine, with the main difference being that this one gives you dexterity and the other one gives you lightning resistance, which would reduce your damage because we are highly based on the reduced lightning resistance on your own build to to give it to enemies through the Doryani's prototype. Other than that, it's not really much to say about these main pieces. The helmet and the boots are not really that expensive, I would say. The boots maybe a little bit, especially because I got such nice rolls on the HP and armor evasion. It's honestly very nice. My last prefix is mainly maybe a T1, the hybrid one with the soundblock recovery, but it is not amazing. I would rather have like movement speed here or hybrid life maybe. But in the end, I am pretty happy about this one here. For the amulet, we are using Ashes of the Stars, mainly because of the quality and +1 to level. There's not many amulets you can use for this build. This one seems to be one of the best ones, and it feels good, to be honest. A lot of our skills benefit quite a bit from the extra quality and the +1 to skills. You could go for something else. It wouldn't make that much of a difference, but it's open to changes. The build is kind of finalized, let's say, but it's not perfect. Obviously, you can change anything, make it slightly better at this angle, slightly better at that angle, and changing one item can not be that big of a difference, but depending on the item, obviously, but you can obviously do something else for the amulet. For the rings, we are using the reflective mist rings, which give you a lot, especially when it comes to the Doryani. This ring is not perfect. In fact, I made about 40 rings this way, so I can get the increased life, increased elemental damage, and flat lightning damage, as well as 2 times minus the lightning crest for about -100 on one. However, only one of them worked out. I sold it, and this is the one that I'm using right now. It's only one bad mod that makes this ring not perfect. If the 14 to 157 lightning damage to attacks was positive, I would easily say that this ring would be worth like several hundred divines, if not more. At the moment, I'd say it's amazing as it is, because of the gigantic HP, a whole lot of minus lightning crest, and the damage to Cooper's life is actually pretty huge as well. It's great. But once again, it's not perfect. But yeah, once again, if it was, this one ring would be worth like the rest, pretty much as much as the entirety of the build. I mean, like, well, if let's say this ring would be worth like 400 divines, then the rest of the build would be another 400 divines. So one item is pretty much the worth of the entirety of the rest of the build. And we obviously just double it with the Calandra's Touch. It's the easiest way, you don't have to make another one, it's not that big of a deal. For the belt, we are using Mage Blood. Because the build is using Warden, we do not need a 4 flask one, which is why I bought a Corrupted with 3 flasks. At the time, I bought it for 190 divines. However, let me actually see how much these ones are worth. At the moment of recording, come on, I need to make this free. About 200 divines. And when it comes to the 4 ones that are not corrupted, 300 divines. So you pay 2/3 of the price and you are still getting the full value out of it, because we are using 2 tinctures. And for the flasks, we are using Sapphire, increase armor, increase effect, max cold resistance, as much armor as possible. We're using Jade, as much evasion as possible, reduce effect of curses. With the increased effect, you are completely immune pretty much to curses. I mean, they are affecting you, but the effect is reduced by over 100%, which means they do not do anything. So you're not immune, but they have literally no effect on you, which makes it a lot easier. And the last one is the Silver Flask for Onslaught. I can use here the Granite Flask instead for way more EHP. At the moment, the build has about 1.6 million EHP. However, the Granite Flask with increased evasion and all the effect stuff, it goes up to about 2 million. However, the Onslaught Flask makes the build feel way better, especially because the attack speed is not good enough because we are using dagger, and I didn't like the feel of it. Like, when it comes to fast attacking builds, you want the attacks to just go like, but in this case it just goes like, and I don't like it. It's like, I don't know, it's like using a chainsaw and it just like skips one tooth every half a second, and you hear it, you know it doesn't feel right, and you don't like it, which is why I use this one. I'm still using the increased evasion rating for the case of defenses, but yeah, the Onslaught, which is 20% increased attack speed, move speed, and casting speed with increased effect of this degree, makes the build feel much better, much smoother, much more enjoyable. For the tinctures, we are using the Rose Form and Prismatic. I mean, there's no other choice. We are Warden, so we can use two at the same time. One of them has increased melee weapon attack speed and the mana burn rate and increased effect, and the other one has crit multi because we don't need penetration anymore, and once again increased effect. Those increase your damage so much, it's ridiculous. Especially because once again we are Warden, so 10% increase effect, 10% increase effect. Those just help you out to keep them up all the time. So once they are up for specific amount of seconds, or rather the moment you have specific amount of mana burn, they can be kept on as a off cooldown sort of effect for 6 seconds. Then we also use those, which makes it so that the tinctures deactivate on 12 mana burn, which basically makes it so that they are up for 6 seconds, and because of the where is it? And because of the tincture cooldown recovery rate, they are 6 seconds cooldown, which basically means you have them up all the time as long as you press it perfectly on time. I mean, if you are missing half a second or 1 second, it's not really gonna be a big deal unless you're doing the bosses. Then you're gonna be seeing this giant dip in DPS. Because honestly, putting one of these tinctures on, especially this one here, the crit one, is a gigantic leap in DPS, and connecting Doryani lightning damage penetration thingy along with this tinctures, which are very strong in my opinion, is amazing when it comes to DPS overall. So when it comes to items, it is pretty much it. I already did mention that we're using Ancestral Vision here, we're using the Light of Meaning. Oh yeah, we are also using here 3 voices, so we can have the Sublime Vision, Watcher's Eye, and the Crimson Jewel of Corrupted Blood on it, to keep the reduction going and all that stuff. I didn't really want to go for normal large cluster jewels, mainly because they are requiring quite a few extra points, and we're missing quite a few points on the tree. There is just not enough. There is too much good stuff on the tree to simply not take it. And the last thing when it comes to items is the jewel, Glorious Vanity. This one specifically is made for the Divine Flesh, so we do not take any fire and lightning damage. And I mainly was looking for one that gives him some extra damage as well as physical damage reduction twice. I was mainly looking for this one here to be 100% here, just because it's just 1 point. 4% and 40% armor is huge. Then another 4% on any of these ones that require just 2 points. There is also extra chaos resistance. I believe there is spell damage is useless, attack speed very nice, cold damage useless, and lightning resistance useless. But yeah, we got 2 extra decent mods, 3 actually. There's also the chaos res here, and you can find cheap ones pretty easily. However, it kind of depends how much you want to make main max. If you are looking for one that is going to be even better than this two, with better small points here. Oh yeah, there's also one here. Yeah, the spell block. This is the one thing that caps it for us. And crit multi is also very good. So finding one that is meeting all of your requirements is not going to be that easy. However, this one here is not even that necessary. If you want to pay like 5-10 divines for a better jewel, because basically this gives us 2% chance to block spells, right? Our chance to block spells is overcapped by 1. So if you lose this one, we are down by about 1.5, so we need at least 1 more % chance to block to be capped. And we have a jewel here that gives you 2% chance to block spells, and this can go up to 3%. So if you had this jewel like this one with the corrupted blood and 3% chance to block spell damage, then this one from the Glorious Vanity would not be completely necessary. But once again, finding a good jewel that has all the things you need would be pretty expensive, or it would simply not exist. When it comes to the tree, it is kinda slightly unusual, let's just say. I mean, usually when you're making a Warden, you sometimes go to the duelist area, but you pretty much never go to this area. In our case, we do need to, because there's quite a lot of block on the way here, and the rage, since we do need block and there was no other way to get it, and we went all the way here. We also took the rage because it's pretty much free, and because this rage rework was so good, and they've given the intimidate just for free without hitting or doing anything. It's a big free damage boost, which is very nice. Not to mention there is some maximum rage, so you go up to 36 maximum rage, very good stuff, and you do get 2 rage on melee hit. 3 rage on melee hits, even better. It's a pretty big thing. We also have the cooling strike and the frenzy charges. When you attack a boss, we are using for this the sniper's mark, so we can get as much use of our returning projectiles. There's also a few points here for like chance to avoid being stunned, as well as 2 here for the suppress, so we can get to 100%. Now, when it comes to the gems, we are rocking Meat Shield, Minion Life, and Stone Golem. I'm just experimenting with this one for now. Stone Golem is there mainly to like keep up with the life regeneration, because it's sometimes annoying that it goes down when you like try to pick up items or something. And we are not using Life Flasks, so it's just for the quality of life. I would most likely not even use Golem at all, or just use Chaos Golem for the extra physical damage reduction and a bit more tankiness. For the helmet, summon Chaos Golem, exactly, I didn't switch them. Tempest Shield, very important stuff. Chance to block spells, and we got the lucky, very big deal, and it also does pretty decent damage, I'd say. Applies Shock, which is not that big of a deal, but it's okay. It's okay to have. It's nice bonus. Herald of Thunder, we had a lot of extra mana, and we cannot use any other auras. The Purity of Ice, so this was pretty much a no-brainer. Quite a bit of extra damage, not that much. I mean, it's 22 to 87, but at least it's useful. And when you're clearing maps and there is like pots or something like this on the side of the map, where as you are moving through, they just get exploded by Herald of Thunder, which is once again nice addition. It's just free. There was nothing else to pretty much use on the tree for the extra damage and luckiness. Last one here is obviously the Purity of Ice. Purity of Ice. Do I actually get it to +5 at level 22? I don't quite remember. If it does, I'm gonna have to change it. I think it possibly does go up, but once again I am not sure. It could be level 23. I'll check later, but yeah. On this Fallen we're using Sigil of Power, and Ball Lightning connect to Life Tap, so that doesn't use our mana. Sigil of Power is just a bonus damage. It's being cast automatically and gives us quite a bit of extra lightning damage, pretty much for free. Ball Lightning is there for the extra leech in case I'm not attacking something and, you know, I'm just like looting stuff. Somebody attacks me from range, let's say, and the Ball Lightning is gonna shoot up and hit them and heal me a little bit. And other than that, it's just like a tiny extra source of damage, not a big deal. What you could do is actually take Sigil of Power out and put it somewhere else, so you can cast it yourself, let's say only when you're doing bosses. And for the Ball Lightning, just put Power Charge on Critical Strike. We are pretty much capped crit, but in case you are missing something in the build, if you try to do it yourself, that would be a good source to just get extra crit, and extra 120% crit chance would be very good. And because you block so much, and the cooldown on this thing is 0.25 seconds, it's gonna be very easy to get your power charges going. For the gloves, Sniper's Mark and Mark on Hit, just extra projectiles. I mean, we need as many hits as possible to get the shock going, and extra hits, extra damage, it just, you know, it just works. Steel Skin, Automation, and because of the Ashes of the Stars, these go to level 22 and they go to 49 quality, which makes the cooldown reduction on them very small. I believe we get a new Steel Skin about 3 seconds after the old one is finished. Very nice stuff. On the boots, Whirling Blades, faster attacks, Life Tap, and Blood Rage. Once again, the Ashes of the Stars gives a nice bonus of extra attack speed whenever we have the Blood Rage on because of the extra quality. Wooden Blade, same stuff. Once again, more attack speed, so the movement is easier. And for the body armor, we use a multi-strike, not Awakened. Awakened at Lightning 6, Nightblade 2023, Returning Proc 2023, Lightning Strike level 2120, and Volatility 2120. It's a pretty simple setup. I mean, it's entirely based on lightning damage to begin with. The Returning Proc is there obviously for extra hits to get a shock, and just for better clear speed and overall better damage coverage. It feels better than anything else, and I wouldn't really switch it for anything else. And once again, because of the Sniper's Mag, this stacks even better, because we get extra projectiles, and because they are creating more projectiles and all of them come back to us, it just makes it much better. And there was not really other mark skill that we could use except Assassin, but we have completely capped crits, so Assassin's Mark is pretty much useless, and this was, yeah, just the best idea there is. When it comes to doing the maps, you already saw the clip that was run in the beginning. It's pretty easy, to be honest. Like, you're very tanky, and the only things, once again, that you have to worry about is pretty much like the corpse detonation as well as damage over time. Other than that, there is not really much. You just breeze through the maps. You press 2 and 3 in my case for the tinctures to get them going and get your damage up. Press Blood Rage whenever it's not up, and whenever you go to the bosses, you just do Val Lightning Strike and the Unbound for crazy amount of damage. When you have 2 of these up, you are pretty much destroying everything. And in case you would make this build yourself and actually get a better ring with the flat damage, not against you, but to your attacks, the DPS would go up exponentially. I believe on my POB, the DPS was gone up by like 20 or 30% just because of this. It's a very big damage boost. Could be even more than 20 or 30%, but I think it's about this. Yeah, it's about this range. Not 100% sure, but it's about this range. Other than that, there is not that much to mention. The only thing I believe I have not set is the Anointment on the Amulet, which is a safeguard, maximum chance to block spells. This is how we get our chance to block to 90-90, and additionally you get 50 energy shield when you block spell damage. We have 359 energy shield, which is not a big deal, but because we block so much, it's actually helpful, and it also gives a 10% chance to block normal spell damage, not the max block. It caps it out very nicely for us. Additionally, here you have 30 life when you block, and block recovery, which makes the build even tankier. You just get the extra return of your HP and energy shield very often, which makes the build once again even tankier. The only thing that I kind of miss, or I wish I had, would actually be, once again, because of the claw, the live gain on hit. This would make the build completely crazy when it comes to sustain, just because it pretty much is instant leech. If you were really keen on it, you can also take the 10% of leech is instant, which is pretty nice as well. It's only 1 point, so it's not really that big of a deal. If we had properly made attributes, this one wouldn't be needed, and then you could just take it. But additionally, in this case, you can just... I don't have enough refine points, actually. What you can also do is simply get rid of these points here, and now you have 1 point, and just put it here. The DPS is gonna go a bit down, not by much, but I think this is gonna make the build feel even a little bit better. I don't even know why I wasn't thinking about this, to be honest. Don't know why, but yeah, now it's there. Yay. Other than that, there's not really much that can be done. However, now I actually see that if we wanted to, if we had 1 more point, instead of having this one here, you could just go into finesse and this 12% damage, but this is once again 1 extra point, but it's 8% attack speed and 12% damage. So for 1 point is actually not bad. It's actually not bad. I would have to think about what I would have to get rid of to take it. And that is kind of difficult to think about, to be honest, because quite a lot of things here are very important to have. Unless you get a level 98, then I guess you can just grab it. I cannot really say anything when it comes to leveling a build like this. This is my 3rd or 4th build this league. so I made it almost level 95 or 96, so there will be no leveling guide, I'm sorry for that. This is not a build you can start with to begin with. I mean, it requires quite a lot of expensive items, not to even mention we don't know if Fallen is gonna be an item next league, so you're gonna have to think about that. I would say that the reflective mist and all the stuff that has been added this patch will stay, mainly because it's basically been added to the idea of T16s plus, so that will make Doryani builds much more available and stronger than the leaks after that. When it comes to, yes, Fallen and items from King's Match, I am not quite sure. However, if they do stay, this build will be very strong, and once again I will try it next time if all of this is still available. And this time I hope I'm gonna get the right ring, because if this is made perfectly, I would say that this is gonna be my best build I've ever made. And this is not a build worth several mirrors. This build is maybe worth probably less than a mirror, now that I think about it. However, yeah, the damage is about 190, 200 divines. And it could be about a mirror. I believe mirror right now is about 575 divines, less than 600. Yeah, I think it's about 500 divines or so. I'm not 100% certain since I didn't count on all the prices. I would have to double check, but I would say it's about 5, 6, maybe 100 divines. It is very good for what it is. I've done all the Ubers, I farm T17s like it's nothing, they're pretty much T16s for me right now. I do them with Delirium, I do them with really high quantity, currency and all the extra stuff. I run them with extra pack sizes and all that stuff. It's very easy. Yeah, overall I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's just that it's my third Lightning Strike build this league, so I want to play something new, something that is not Lightning Strike, and once again have a little bit of fun. Other than that, I believe the build is completely finished. I did not mention too much about the skill tree itself, because I mean every single point on this tree is pretty much distributed perfectly. You get access to everything and you get all the important stuff. Every single point is helping you with achieving a cap on whatever is possible. Cap on crit, cap on block, cap on spell block, cap on max block, cap on this, cap on that, all the avoidance, all the armor, all the physical stuff, all the evasion stuff, all the super stuff, everything is pretty much perfectly made. The only thing I'll probably add on top of all of this is few extra tattoos, mainly because of the stuns and some other thing that I not remember right now for some reason. If I do remember that, I'm probably gonna put it in the comments or something like this. But other than that, the build is finished pretty much completely. There are still 3 levels to go, although I'll pretty much never go to level like 99 or 100. I don't have that much time nor patience. But yeah, if some people do want to, it's possible. More points, just get those points back here. You can additionally also get the thing I was talking about, which I not remember. Oh yeah, this stuff right here, and get a build a bit stronger, not to mention obviously the ring. And some of the pieces can be recrafted as well to get slightly more armor, slightly more evasion, slightly more life. But the build as it is, despite not being like 2 meters worth, is, in my opinion, amazing. And that is it for this video. It's been Nia, and I'll see you possibly in the next guide for the next build I'm making, which, spoiler alert, is most likely gonna be Viper Strike of Mamba Trickster with CI. Bye.